Okay, here we have the Lynx tissue processor. This is the machine that automates your tissue processing for you. I'll show you how to program it and set it up in this video. So things that you'll need is you'll need a cassette and your sample. For this, we're just going to pretend that this little paper towel is my sample. So you put it in the middle of the cassette and you close the cassette. You also will need the sample holder, which is located in the oven. It's hot, so just take it out. It's in the oven so that like any kind of melted paraffin stays off of it. And what you do is you just put your sample into the holder. So you can see you can put 5 total samples in there. And then we will use it to do our tissue processing. So I've got a program running right now just for show to show you how this works. Basically, when you run a program, you can code it so that it'll automatically move your samples into each of these stations. So a lot of times what we do is we dehydrate the tissue. So you start with stage 1 at like 70% ethanol, 80%, 90%, eventually get to 100% ethanol, so it's fully dehydrated. And sometimes they have to last like an hour in these buckets. So that's why it's automated, because when your desired time is up, it'll lift up your samples and then it'll move them to the next station and put them down for you. Just like that. So there's no samples in here right now. This is just for educational purposes, but that's what kind of happens. That's what we're trying to get this machine to do. You can see the time. We have this station set for just 2 minutes. If you want to, you can program whatever you want it to be. So let's just pause it. If you want to lift up your samples, you can. But yeah, so let's just hit stop and get out of here. So the good thing about this machine is it's super intuitive for the programming controls. They're really easy to use. Basically, there's a certain number of programs that are in here that you can flick through, or you can create your own. So the one that I used for my mice tissue, I'll show you. So I did number 12. So if you hit review, I don't know if I caught that. If you hit review, you can look through the programs. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4 programs. I made number 12. So we'll put in 12 and hit enter. You can see it's reviewing program 12. Program type is HP, which stands for histology process. I don't know what the other program types are, but we only need to know that one, so we will look through it. So station number 1, that's right here. You can edit the time, so I made it an hour. You can edit the temperature. I don't know if you can change the temperature. You can change it, but I don't know if it actually happens here. But for our purposes, we can do everything at room temperature and then do the paraffin steps in the oven. So first step I put was 70% ethanol. Actually, I think it was 80%, yeah, I put it right here. So I did 80% for the first step. You can make either agitation or vacuum happen. I don't think vacuum is really necessary. I just did agitation, which means that every couple seconds it just lifts it up and down so that it really gets into the tissue, the liquid. So if you wanted to modify it, you could. You just hit up. It's like, do you want to change the time? I don't know, do I? Enter. And you can change the time if you want to. I don't want to do that, so just skip this station. So yeah, you just follow the instructions for what you want to do. Do you want to modify this step? Change time. If you just want to save it, hit stop. So if you want to go to the next step, you just hit down. Let's see, it's an hour at that next step. Hour at the next step, 100%. Hour at the next step, 100%. Then next step, whatever. So you can change these parameters however you want to do it. It's pretty easy to do so. I'll show you how in a second. But yeah, and so when you're ready to run, you just hit run, enter your program number. Let's see, I made it so it's gonna take 5 hours. You just literally follow the instructions, enter. So, the good thing about this menu is it's kind of confusing, but you really can't screw anything up. You're never gonna press a wrong button and it's gonna mess you up. So it's pretty handy like that. Just follow the instructions that it tells you to do and you can figure it out. So now it's starting to run the process, so it's gonna move my samples over to number 1. You're gonna attach your samples to this little hook right there. And it's gonna begin. So one piece of advice that I have is sometimes it gets stuck. When it's going to the next bucket, sometimes it gets stuck when you try to put the samples down. And I'll show you what that looks like. Okay. Well, yeah, so if you try to load the samples, it might hit the edge of the wall there. So I like to stand like near the, I've been having to stand near the processor every time it moves to the next step. So it's like coming back every hour or so to check on it. I think the solution to that is just to not use these plastic cups on the inside. These are a little dirty, so they might need some cleaning. But yeah, we're supposed to use these plastic inserts instead of actually like using the metal buckets. But yeah, the sample holder gets stuck. So if you don't want to stand near the processor every hour, then don't use the plastic buckets, but that's what I've been doing. And you can see there's the agitation, it's just going up and down to move the samples in and out. So that's just one thing to consider. But this is what like a standard program looks like. You go from a certain amount of ethanol all the way up to 100%. It's good to do 2 washes and 100% just to like be thorough with it. 2 washes in HistoClear, which is down here in this cabinet for our use according to Ellen Dollar. We can use it. And there's usually 2 steps of paraffin. What that means is once you're done with all these steps, you just manually take your samples out and you put them in some molten paraffin in this oven. So, you know, if I was done this step, I would say, okay, you know, take it out, and then I would just drop it in the paraffin in there for an hour. Once that's up, I'll move it into the next pile of paraffin. So that part you have to do manually. It's not a fully automated process, but yeah. And once it's done with the paraffin, once it's done with the paraffin, then you're ready to actually embed it. So that's what I'll show you in this video. Should be good enough.